Hello, this is Alva from the I'm All Ears podcast. I just want to say a big thank you for bearing with us while we've taken a little break over the summer. The movie coming out, and there's just been a lot of things going on. It's just meant that we've taken a little bit of a pause. Unintentional, wasn't planned. Just happened that way. But we're hopefully back now. I just wanted to let you know that this episode that you're about to listen to was recorded in early June, so I think I mentioned it in the podcast, but just as a precaution, I'm going to say it here. It's quite funny listening back to this as I was editing, because it was before the movie came out, and there was a few things we discussed. We didn't know what the outcome of the film was yet, so if you're a little bit confused as to why we've not mentioned certain things, that's why. Yeah, and funny enough, as I was listening back to this to edit, Alana said a few things that were like Apollo's dodgeball again. See if you can hear them. It's to do with the twins thing, and also the anti-war songs, which, yeah, you'll find out. Anyway, enjoy.
I Am All Ears, a Ghost Fancast.
Hello, welcome to the I Am All Ears podcast with me, Alvar. Today I am joined once again with Cami, Alana, and Katie. Velkommen.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
Right. So today we are going to be talking about Meliora, but also while we're on it, we'll throw in Popestar, because can you count Popestar as the Meliora Deluxe or a separate thing?
No.
It's all thrown in there. We've done Infestism, and if you have Ghosts in one, so why not?
Yeah.
Fuck it.
It's by the same person, so.
What, you mean Tobias Forge?
No,
No,
it's still like, Papa Emeritus the Third. It's still Terzo. So it's
yeah.
Also, as well, it's just I was gonna say, like, it fits in the era, and also you like if you try to make a podcast about, like, an episode about Popestar, like, there's 4 songs on it.
Yeah, most of my notes are literally just for the original song that's on there, and the rest are just like, here's a cover. But anyway, so Meliora was released on the 21st of August 2015. Now, the title Meliora can be translated from the Latin into "for the pursuit of the better," or along those lines, basically, or the pursuit of something better. If we look at the album cover, it's an optical illusion of a skull face within the architecture. It's actually, when you look into it, it's not that far off of like the themes of Impera, where there's like zeppelins, the industrial factories. I'm ready to talk out my ass here about this, but I feel like it ties in with the theme. This is just my interpretation, by the way, of the American dream, because if you sort of think about when people were coming over from, say, England for the pursuit of something better. And the Zeppelins specifically were giving me those kind of black and white sort of USO like Zeppelin images that you see, like, over New York and things like that. I don't know if anyone else has any interpretation on it, but that's
it's also kind of like it's a very 20s theme, obviously, like very like the Art Deco style.
Yeah.
Which is like the Art Deco style was kind of like very much living up the idea of we've like he talks about in Zenith and stuff, where like we've reached the like the pinnacle of humanity. Like in the 20s, they kind of were like, it was before the big crash and everything. It was just before the Wall Street crashed and everything happened in the kind of mid 20s or whatever. So like they really did feel like that they had reached this pinnacle of humanity, like because like technology and all was kind of starting to get more, in air quotes, futuristic and stuff, and you were getting movies and all dealing with futuristic kind of themes and things, and so like everything was gold, and like obviously you have like that kind of like, you look back now and you see like the flapper girls and all that there, so it's like it is that kind of moment before the plummet kind of thing,
which ties in to a later song, which I'll get on to actually. But yeah, like the Roaring Twenties. Again, foreshadowing, maybe. No,
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm joking. So yeah, that fits actually quite well, especially with a lot of the references later down the line. So it's produced by Klaus.
Hello.
Klaus, all that.
Mine. Turn into the pigeon, the pigeons, seagulls from Finding Nemo. Mine.
Class.
Class.
But a fun bit of trivia. It was remixed. Sorry, not remixed. That's actually the name of the studio I'm going to talk about. It's mixed in Benny Anderson's studio, which is, oh god, it's remixed something. Google it. I can't find it right now. I've been there. I've not been inside, but I've seen it outside because it's on like a little, on one of the little islands in Stockholm. It's just like, it's weird. It looks like a fucking garage. But I remember there was an interview with Benny Anderson when I was going through like a weird ABBA hyperfixation a couple of weeks ago, where he's showing around the studio, and there's a shot where I think it's in one of the bathrooms, and you can see Papa Emeritus's signature in the bathroom of there, which I thought was kind of cute. So yeah, let's dive in. So first thing we start off with is the song Spirit, which is, it's got strong themes of the Le Fée Verte, or the Green Fairy, aka Absinthe. I put in brackets here, Kasabian, because there's a song called that by Kasabian as well, which is a great song, by the way. And one of the things I found really interesting was, this is actually the last line of the song, is that there's a poem by Edgar Allan Poe called Imitation, and the line is, "Let none of earth inherit that vision of my spirit," which is obviously the last line of the song.
Mm-hmm.
It made me laugh because there's an interview I heard the other day with Tobias where he said, this is the quote. It's actually about rats, but I thought it kind of is funny how it ties into this, where he says, "If I'm talking about fire, I mean a literal fire." And I'm like, do you though? Yeah, what we got on Spirit?
Absinthe was kind of a funny drink because it uses wormwood to make it, and it doesn't
Enticing
use
wormwood.
yeah, but it doesn't use hops and things like that to be distilled. It's actually quite cheap to make, and it is a lot stronger than regular alcohol because like it's one of the few alcohols that doesn't require hops and barley to make it and things. And so it became quite popular, and obviously like the artistic scenes, like you see that thing in Moulin Rouge and stuff, like where they're all drinking absinthe, beauty, peace, and love, and all that there. But because because it was so cheap to make, and did like you only need a little of it to kind of really, kind of get to take off basically. Is because like there used to be a thing where if you drank more, I think more than 3 glasses of absinthe, you had to sign like a waiver in some bars to be like, we're not going to be responsible for anything that you do if you keep drinking it like this,
It became
And
hallucinogenic, didn't it?
yeah, like I've had it, and it's really funny because like I took a drink of it, and like I was fine when I was inside the bar, but the minute I went outside the bar, like literally everything spun. Like I was standing still, and like everything did like a 360 spin in front of me, and I was like, oh god. And I didn't even have that much. But they basically started to kind of like seed, like the hops and barley industry were kind of really mad, so they started to kind of seed rumors that like it was causing people to go insane and murder people, which then led to a rise in it being banned for a while. And I just think it's really fascinating. I like absinthe is like, if you ever want to go down like a rabbit hole of research, absinthe is such a cool thing to go down because it's just funny, like just listening, like reading the history and all of it, and just like having a song about it. It's great. I'm just like, oh, I love this.
Going back to the song, I'm going to say a bit of a controversial take here. I don't know if it's controversial, actually. Because you know how Ghost always usually use the first song on their album as the sort of tour openers? I think this is the weakest one. Because, like, you've got, like, especially, like, Infestissimum into Perispera. You got Ashes into Rats. You got Imperium into Kaiserium. I'm not entirely sure if they did Opus in order. Did they? Yeah, they must have done with Conclave, I'm guessing, at some point. But even if they didn't, and if they did, rather, that's a banger. I feel like this is like not a great opener. It's a good opener for an album. I just mean for a tour.
Yeah.
I can see why later down the line they changed it to Square Hammer.
It is. It's like the song itself. I feel like it's supposed to be an introduction into this kind of, because like the whole concept of the album is supposed to be like this decadent society. So the song itself is supposed to be like an introduction into that.
Yeah.
like, you know, like in the 20s, like I said, like where they saw themselves on the top of the world. So this song is supposed to be like an introduction into the society that they're kind of, the fake society that they've kind of made up, or not even, but you know what I mean, like the mirror of the society they've made in this album. Because like as well, like they said, the last line, like from the poem, like whenever Edgar Allan Poe wrote that poem, it was kind of talking about, like he was talking about, like he'd achieved some things at that point in his life, and he was kind of questioning whether, like, do I deserve these kind of things, you know? And with Ghost, a lot of Ghost stuff is, it's like a flip on usually what the original thing is supposed to mean. You know, like they do that a lot, like always with the kind of biblical verses and stuff, and they flip them to mean something else. So I always took like the inclusion of the Edgar Allan Poe thing as like, you know, like he was saying, you know, like that none of those inherit the vision of my spirit, as in like, you know, let nobody else, you know, deal with what I've had to deal with. Whereas whenever Papa's singing it, he's like, these people don't deserve to inherit the way I see things. You know, these people, like I'm, you know, like I'm on the top of this, like this is me at the top of my game. None of these deserve to see what I see, you know, like that type of thing. So like it's a flip of like Edgar Allan Poe being modest, whereas Papa's being boastful, you know, where, you know, so that's the way I see that.
Yeah, I like that. That's good interpretation. Anyone else got anything to add?
No, I was gonna just kind of piggyback off of what just Alana said of how, like, well, that's just kind of like it kind of gives you an idea of how like Terzo, or you know, Papa Emeritus III's like whole character is. Like, you know, the album is basically just it's supposed to just be called Better, because like the personality type of Terzo is that he's like better than everyone else before him, and he's the best version of what like the clergy has to offer. And like it's been like his whole dynamic, like the entire time he was like touring and performing, that he's like just the best. And like Spirit itself is, but it's a song that reflects the search for higher purpose and enlightenment, and he, because he thinks he's already there, and so he's just on top of the world.
Yeah, which is interesting because it was the era where he, you know, he became more what's the word that's the opposite of static? But you know what I mean? Like he moved a lot around more on stage because he had like the costume changes, and could be more flamboyant. So that actually really ties in quite nice with that.
I mean, even his other outfit, because you know he has obviously the Papa Rose, but then his other outfit is a mimic of a king, the king of Sweden.
Yeah.
He thinks he's a king. He's like,
he thinks he's hot
am
shit.
I am that bitch. I am that bitch.
What's really funny, whenever you research about that king, it's actually kind of, like, I thought it was just kind of funny, the kind of weird mirror that kind of happened, because whenever he became king, he basically turned Sweden from a, you know, a state with parliament to back to a state with just one king, where all of the rules came from the king, you know, and he was then assassinated at the end.
I was just about to ask, how did this guy die?
He got assassinated at a party. He got assassinated at a masquerade ball.
Huh.
And I'm like, okay, right. But I just think it's really funny, like, when you think about, like, behind the scenes with Ghost at the time, obviously during that era, that's obviously, like, we're going to get into it, obviously, later on, probably. But, like, that's whenever they kind of mask him off of Ghost being a band and became, like, this is just a project with one guy that's doing all the stuff. And I just thought it was really funny, like, weirdly, you know, again, Apollo's dodgeball of prophecy almost, you know, like he picked this king that turned Sweden from a, like, you know, a parliament state with lots of people's opinions to one guy being the head of it, and then he was at the end, you know, like, so Terzo went from, you know, head of a band to Grand Pumbaa, you know, to then get at the end of his reign. So I was like, dodgeball of truth.
He went from being the head of the band to a head in a band.
Oh.
But yeah, it's just very funny when you look at, like, when you research about him. I thought it was just really funny, because I was just like, that's
Can't keep doing this.
can't keep doing it. Also, I want to take a quick note when we're talking about costumes. about the ghouls costumes for
Oh,
this
yeah?
era. I actually have a quote from Martin. One of the few quotes I have from somebody who isn't Tobias, where he said, "The album takes place not at the same time as the last one, so we wanted to look like Art Deco's 20s in the US, being that the ghouls should look like a gang of very rich people having a secret meeting at a hotel. And then we didn't want to have cloths or robes and the religious masks. We wanted to have beautiful costumes, suits, and masks that looked like statues from the 20s. And I feel like they really did achieve it. Like the ghoul costumes from that era are just so iconic.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
the silver masks and
you got the
stuff.
dapper shoes that are giving kind of Bugsy Malone.
Yeah. Like because like I always think like you look at them, they kind of like there definitely is also very heavy influence of like Eyes Wide Shut as well, with the kind of masked parties, masked parties and people and things like that there. Like you can definitely feel like his like as well. They opened the tour and stuff with Eyes Wide Shut, the music from Eyes Wide
Yeah.
Shut, and stuff. That movie's hilarious simply for the fact that it's about a movie about a man who goes on a weird like nighttime crawl of a cult and almost cheats on his wife because he figures out his wife may have the hots for other people that aren't him. He finds out women have sexual desires and then falls down a whole rabbit hole of cults. And you're like, this movie is hilarious. This movie is hilarious. And it couldn't have been funnier to be anybody but Tom Cruise at the front of it. But yeah, like the whole kind of secret society stuff was just so I think it's just great because it's like obviously like I said, Eyes Wide Shut music opening the shows, and then like the ghouls looking like members of like a secret society, and like I always said, like they always look like something you'd see out of the corner of your eye, like in a fancy hotel, like seeing them kind of ducking into a dark room, and you'd be like, oh, what's that? What the fuck? It's just like the costume, and like again, they didn't have a big budget really when they got Meliora. But like where
Yeah.
the budget was going, you could really see it, and you can like like he wasn't resting on his laurels. Like he was like, I don't have a lot of money, but the money I do have, you will see it where it's going. Like
the costumes are definitely like, I mean, it's just like the overall look was just like way more advanced because if we look back at like like with Opus and Infest, I felt like Infest was just kind of like an upgraded version of Opus basically. Like that's what it kind of felt like. And then like when we got to Meliora, it was just like completely different. Like we have a completely different type of like skull paint and everything, a different look. This mask has hair. The other ones never had hair. This mask has hair. It's a different style, and even the robes are very very intricate. And I didn't notice it until like the last time I did the when we did the Spillways Lounge in Los Angeles. And I really like because we had time to actually like look at the robes because every time I've done the VIP before, it was very rushed through. But like
Yeah.
even like the gold circles that are on like Papa's robes, like there's like these intricate designs with like the beading, and there's like little like skull beads like woven in and everything. Like they're super detailed. Like from afar, it just looks like a gold circle, and then you look up close, and it's like heavily detailed and beaded, and it's like, and then even like seeing like the suit at the Grammy Museum, like the white
Yeah.
is a very thick material, and it's like it's
yeah,
very well done. I always thought the white part was just like silk or something,
Yeah,
like something
same. Like,
very, and it's like very thick woven fabric with like heavy duty like buttons and everything, and it's just like whoa.
I definitely do feel like there's two versions of it because there is like whenever he was doing the acoustic stuff, if you do look at that, like they called it the Dead Astaire outfit, which I think is perfect. If you look at the acoustic ones, it looks quite shiny. The
yeah,
material
yeah.
looks
That's what I was
quite
gonna say.
shiny and looks kind of thin. So I do feel like there was like a hero version, and then maybe like a version that he could maybe bring on like shorter, like for the live, like the acoustic sets, rather than dragging around the kind of hero costumes. He was like, here's like a one, if it gets ripped, we can sew it really easily type costume. Um. Also, the funnier thing with that era is people realized that he wasn't really tall because of the
Yeah.
hat.
Define
So you have
short without my hat.
yeah, you have all those videos of the live things where he's like, you either have the mic stand too high or somebody's being funny, and it's like as they pointing at the ground. He's like, how short do people think I am? Like,
I need some spooky reverb to make me sound taller. I like it's slightly off topic, but it just made me laugh because you saying that about how we actually had the time to look at the costumes. It made me laugh in the fucking Spillways Lounge how we were using the coffin as a table for the chips and dip. We were eating, not us exactly, but like a few people were eating off them.
It's excellent.
That is like the dream. Anyway, I'm gonna quickly move on just because.
Yeah.
So next up we've got From the Pinnacle to the Pit, which tells the
That's awesome.
story very quite on the nose about Satan's exile from heaven.
yeah.
I get strong James Bond vibes from this song, not gonna lie. And it was also
Amazing
like,
bass line.
oh, so bass. Oh, yes. And quickly going off the song, and this kind of ties into the whole album. This was when like Ghost really started to go like all in with music videos because there's quite a few for this era.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, an old German expressionist movie vibe like Metropolis and Madame Satan. But yeah, the
Yeah.
actual song is just so fucking groovy.
It's one of
It
the
really
best off
is.
the album. I feel like it's not appreciated enough, honestly. Like I feel like people don't really fully appreciate From the Pinnacle to the Pit. Like it's just like everything about it, like this, like the synthiness kind of bits of it. You know, like the bass is probably one of the best. You know that it's so. You know, it's so good, and also as well, I always like to I joke kind of with myself that this is the kind of the seed starting of Tobias's beef with flat earthers. Because he says, you know,
Yeah.
what flat looks round, and then he brings up again and like, watch this guy. This man has beef with flat earthers, like, I love it because
A lot of
yeah,
things.
valid for 100%, but it just sneaks in, you know, every now and again he's like,
Yeah.
flat earthers.
But I
Like,
think that like flat earther is like a very not like a low hanging fruit, but like it's very easy to say like look at how ignorant people can be. Like you see a flat earther, like that is very clearly a person who is ignorant, who has no knowledge of science, who is being like almost willfully ignorant, because we have known that the earth is round for centuries. Like we have known
yeah,
before the common era. Mathematically we could prove that the earth was round. So at this point, if you're like, no, the earth is flat, like you're just being willfully ignorant. So I think that like being a flat earther is like, or pointing out that is like a really easy way to point out how ignorant humanity can be. So, you know, like when you're wanting to talk about that, that's a really like you know, it's easy to point at that.
yeah,
So
it's a
that might
good
be why it comes up
shorthand.
a lot.
Yeah, it's a good shorthand for human ignorance, you know. Just say like they're flat earthers. You're like, oh, they're idiots.
Yeah, because he said
Yeah.
quite a few times in interviews where he's like, you know, people are still trying to flatten the earth, like as in like we're going backwards type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also as well like you talk like I know like it is very much of an analogy for like the fall of Satan, like like from Pinnacle to Pit, but it could also be representative of Icarus, because
Okay.
Icarus fell like again because he always talks about ambition, you know, and like Icarus is like the kind of, you know, the parable of ambition, you know, like he wanted to fly, made wax wings, flew too high, they melted, and he fell. So like that's another kind of thing with Pinnacle to Pit, you know, like because it kind of I feel like that ties in again to the idea of, you know, thinking that you're, you know, that you've reached your top, but then obviously then the wax wings melt and you crash again. Like again, it's like another kind of. I felt like it kind of fit in with the 20s vibe that he was going for. Again, like the crash of ambition, the crash of you know,
Like
of
the economy.
society. Yeah, like society was up. We're up here. We're doing great, and then people were literally throwing themselves out of buildings whenever Wall Street crashed. Like so many like businessmen killed themselves when that happened. Like because they lost everything, and so it's just like it's such a great song. Like it's just everything about it. And then obviously, but I can feel like the more kind of thing is like the fall of Satan from heaven, like being the most beautiful angel to just being thrown into a pit, and then like the idea of like Satan rising from that pit again,
Well, funny you should say that, because one of the things that's kind of been on my mind about it is, when in recent years with Copia, where he's performed it live and he's done that little hop up the steps,
yeah,
and it's like he's almost like fighting against it and is rising back up. And without going into it, I'm just saying, Antichrist rising theory.
Antichrist. We're an Antichrist Copia believer podcast.
This podcast is sponsored by Delusion.
It's such a great
100%.
I would be surprised if he never did an Antichrist thing, because like he loves like we always talk about it, but he loves Omen so much, and the thing that annoys me about the Omen series is that the Antichrist didn't win. So like I wouldn't be surprised if he at some point tried his hand at like an Antichrist type thing, because why not? Especially like in this day and age.
I said he's going to fix Omen 3.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen in the movie. He's gonna box Jesus. It's literally just gonna be a baby in like a wicker basket. He's just gonna punch it. I win. When I was writing my notes on it, was because I had to write. I wrote out the Bible verses because I'm like nuts. But I was sitting listening to it on repeat, and it's just like just the kind of the way the song is built. It's just so good, and the video's great as well. Like it's kind of funny when he like Superman flies off at the end. I will say that makes me laugh. It's like, oh, there he goes. Fly, Papa, fly. But I want to talk about Madam Satan. This is what I'm trying to get at. I want to talk about Madam Satan because that movie is. I watched it recently for the first time because I was doing notes. I'm obsessed. It's insane because like the first half of the movie is a very like stereotypical 1930s musical movie about a husband and a wife that's having problems. He's cheating on her. She doesn't feel appreciated. It's very, very typical. It's like a very normal movie. Then they get into the blimp, and it just goes off the chain. It's so camp. Like they have like a full dance scene with like the representation of the energy of the era, where a guy has like it's the guy with like the lightning bolts that you see in the video, and he's surrounded by dancers that are all like supposed to represent like electricity, and like because obviously at that time is whenever like electricity was, because it's kind of weird. It's one of those things where you keep forgetting that there was a time where electricity wasn't just commonplace in everybody's homes. So like electricity was coming in to like like in the 20s and stuff. It was coming in. People were getting electricity in their homes more. Like it was becoming more prevalent everywhere. So people were like obsessed with electricity. And so like there's a whole bit with that. And then she shows up dressed in the Madam Satan costume. Like his wife shows up dressed up in this costume. And this literally a guy says, he's like, "Do you know Satan?" And he's like, "No, but I'm gonna find out who they are." And like they all want to dance with Satan, and they all want to dance with Madam Satan, and she's wearing this beautiful black dress with a massive like sheer cutout in it, and you're like, wow, this is very pre-code. Because they would never have had that like after that, because the code came in where there was all these rules in Hollywood where like if there was couples, like if a married couple were in a bed, one had to have their feet out of the bed. And one, like they couldn't both have their feet in the bed, because then that would like suggest that they might have sex at some point, and you're like, God forbid. Like interracial couples and all were banned off of movies, and you couldn't say anything against the church and all this stuff. So this movie is like pure example of pre-code. But yeah, it's talking about how like there's one of my favorite lines in it is she says she's dancing with her husband, like he doesn't know it's her yet. And she says, she'll take him back down to hell. And he says, where will we go first? And she says, oh, I'll take you to where all the naughty husbands go. And he says, "Oh, but what about where all the will we go visit where all the cold wives are?" And she's like, "No, because women serve their punishment in hell on earth."
Ah,
True.
like,
yeah, she's like, "There's no women in hell because we already suffer enough up here." And I'm like, "Oh my god, I get it." And it kind of made me wonder, because there's we always talk about the imagery of people dancing. He seems to really love that image of a man and woman dancing, and I'm wondering if it comes from that movie, because it is a really lovely shot scene of this guy dancing with, quote, Satan. And I'm just wondering if it comes from that, because it is really beautiful, and I can completely get why they would incorporate it, why you take images from it, because it's just so camp. And if you can find a way to watch it, I would really recommend it, because I love it. I'm obsessed. I'm sitting there looking at eBay right now. There's a book you can buy. It's the script of the book and stuff, and it's got pictures and all in it. I'm fighting buying it because I'm obsessed with this movie now.
There was
I get it.
There was a T-shirt with Turzo and Madam Satan on, wasn't there as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
It was for VIP.
Yeah.
It was a VIP T-shirt. Somebody was selling it on Facebook the other day, and I was like,
Yeah.
Don't give them the money.
One last thing I've got to say on this song is that literally just how the song ends. It is kind of like that thud of someone hitting wherever it is they're falling to. Which I thought was quite... I don't know if it's intentional, but if it is, it's clever.
He's a clever bean.
Clever bean.
Wouldn't put it past him.
So next up, we've got Grammy-winning song, Cerise.
Yeah.
Which means it's the Old English word for church. And it's about how the church tries to convince you that you are lost without their religion, and using your vulnerability to make you feel guilty in doing so.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a... I feel like this song was... I think I remember him saying something about he wasn't too sure of this song, and then he played it to his daughter, and this was the one that she pointed out that was that stood out to her, even as a 7-year-old or whatever. And he was like, "Okay, I'll go with that." And then it won a Grammy, so kudos to Minot for that.
Can I read you a quote? Slavgirl from Tumblr said, I've thought about this since I read it. She said that they said this beautiful thing about the music of Cerise. Can I read what they wrote, because it's probably one of the best breakdowns. And they said, thinking about the leitmotif of Cerise, the dun-dun sound appearing throughout the song, imitating not only thunder but also the heartbeat, as it's always on the 8th note. When Papa asks, "Can you hear the rumble?" for the first time, can you hear the rumble for the first time? The drum is not there. When he asks again, "Can you hear the rumble that's calling?" it's there, and at the foreground too. Impossible not to hear the thunder in your heart. Perhaps it's always been there, but you never realized until he told you to listen to it. Or maybe he wants you to think it's there. Either way, you're now paying attention. He extends his hand and you accept it. Going further at 2:14, there is a sudden change in the dynamic range. We only hear the piano and the drums less prominent now, and Papa's voice. The minimalistic instrumentation makes the whole experience feel very intimate. It feels as if Papa is speaking directly to you. There is no one else. You are entwined together. The verbiage here he used now further strengthens this feeling. You and I see eye to eye. Now there is nothing between us, for now our merge is eternal. The words feel like a warm embrace or comfort. Except he is manipulating you. He is manipulating you, isolating you, and coercing you into forming this emotional bond. Notice how the music constructs an emotional setting within the context when at around 3:20, a sudden dramatic break occurs and Papa asks, "Can't you see that you're lost?" and all the music goes dead. This is what it feels like to be alone. No sound, no warm embrace, no comfort, nothingness. Can't you see that you're lost without me? This is your life if you don't follow him. But you will, because he has just convinced you there is no one else.
I am floored.
I was like, what the fuck?
That is amazing.
I have goosebumps rereading that, because it's just so good, and it's like the best description I've ever heard of that song.
Real?
It's just they wrote that maybe a year or so ago, and I've been thinking every time I listen to Cerise, I think about that, because I'm like, that's perfect.
It breaks my brain hearing you read that out loud, considering Cerise was my very first song from Ghost.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
The bit where you're
He
The bit
gotcha.
where you were talking about well, the bit where you're talking about manipulation, it's like gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
Yeah,
Go girl.
go girl. But it is it's such a it's a comfort. It's a song that's supposed to sound comforting, and it's a song that's supposed to sound, you're meant to feel comforted. But there's that undertone of, there is a sinister undertone in it, of
Like the
this
church.
isn't. Yeah, there isn't this real It's not like, because like people view it as like a love song. Like he said himself, like people view it as a love song, and that's fine if people do. But like it's that moment where, because it's great for shows as well, because he says, I feel your presence amongst us, you cannot hide. Like he's like, it's that feeling of like he's looking for you. And obviously that moment, where he like singles someone out in the show and like sings to them, it's like that moment of like he's searching for you specifically, like down in the crowd, like you can sense that you're there, but he's like, it could be anybody. It's not just you. It could have been anybody in the front row that he picked, but like in that moment you feel really special, obviously, because like he is interacting with you. But it's a whole performance of manipulation, of like the kind of cult aspect again, of like bringing you in, like, because that's what cults normally do as well, as they play on the idea of like, you don't want to be alone, you don't, you want to be comforted, you want to be surrounded by people, and they play on that. They don't care if you're comforted and surrounded, they just want your money and probably your body in most senses, like whether you throw yourself on the firing line for them, or in a sexual way with with a lot of cults, because they're usually led by men.
That's very interesting. I think the Cerise music video was actually the first music video of theirs I'd ever seen as well, if I'm remembering correctly. Which, the way they got the little kids is also weirdly sinister, at least to me.
Yeah. Also, Secundo's face paint.
Yeah.
Like what's really weird is like the whole, outside of From the Pinnacle to the Pit, all of the artwork, if you look inside the little the little booklet that comes with the album, any artwork that has Papa in it, it's Secondo, it's Papa too. It's not Terzo. Like the kiss, the one with like Cerise, the picture for Cerise is like based on that painting, the kiss, and it's Papa too. It's not Terzo.
Is it not am I thinking of something else, the one that's like Silence of the Lambs with the moth?
No, that's the album. That's the single cover.
Oh,
that's with the
okay.
moth. That's the girl's face. But like, if you look at the little flip book, with all the stuff by the big new. If you look at that picture, it's Papa 2. It's not Terzo. And then obviously, like in the music video, it was Papa 2. So I was thinking a lot of the visuals for this weren't really set in stone when they came out. You know what I mean? Because that was the first single off the album and stuff. So they hadn't really set on a visual of what Papa was going to look like yet. So they're just like, fuck it, just use Papa 2. People know what he looks like.
Yeah.
He's there.
I just think that it's very interesting that he says it's supposed to be like the church, and how the church will snare you and get you and make you believe things, when lyrically it's very much the opposite of what the church says. Because Cerise, he says, I know your soul has been tainted, or your soul is not tainted, even though you've been told so. But the church is completely the opposite, where they say, you're actually like filthy, disgusting, dirty, and the only way that you can be clean is if you come with us.
Yeah.
So I think that it's interesting that it's lyrically like it approaches from a different angle. Like, personally, when I heard those lyrics where it's like, hey, you're not what everyone has been telling you, that was kind of like one of the first moments where I was like, oh, like, okay, I think I like this band, because they're not telling me, I've heard my whole life because of the church, how awful and bad I am. That, oh, this person knows that I'm not a bad person, even though I've been told so my whole life.
Wow.
You know,
yeah.
so like
Well,
it also works. Like, hey, good job, it worked.
yeah, but it's that thing that he always says, where he says basically they're doing what the church is doing, but except they don't want you to feel bad. Like the whole
Yeah.
point of Ghost is not to make people feel bad. Like, yeah, it is based on what the church does, which is like, you know, luring people in with comforts or whatever. But like the end goal for him is not to make you leave feeling shitty. He wants you to leave feeling comforted and, you know, and feeling better about yourself and feeling, you know, like, cause especially as well, like the Ghost is like had grown, like quite, you know, was growing, and so like he was seeing that there was a community coming together. You know, like he said himself, like again, the costumes were getting tighter and stuff because he realized that there was a lot of like women in the audience and there was a lot of queer people in the audience and stuff, and so he's like, we make it sexy. You know, that's why Turzo is a bit of a tramp. You know, like that's why he sits on stage and like talks in his Italian accent about the birds and the bees. You know, like was swinging his legs. You know, like, but he wants people to like that like you're saying, like obviously it's the opposite of what the church wants. Like that's the whole point of like he wants you to come in and do the opposite of what the church does, which church is like, you suck, and you suck so hard. You've literally sucked since you were born. Did you realize that? You've sucked since the day you popped out of your mum. Like, wow, well, thanks, I guess. Where he's like, no, you don't. Like, they're lying to you. You know, like, feel good. You're great. Love you. Heart hands. You know,
Actually, so nice to hear.
it's nice here with Satan. It's nice and warm.
Yeah. Like, oh, thanks, Papa. I mean, now the first time I heard it, obviously it was Copia singing. It was not Turzo
Yeah.
because, like, Pre-Imperator was the first time I ever heard Ghost. But you know, it's still like it still resonates. It's still a very important song to me.
I was just gonna say, it's one of those songs I don't see him taking off a set list anytime soon. I'd be
Yeah.
surprised if he took it off because it's a good moment for crowd interaction, and it's just nice. It's nice and slow. You know, where it kind of can, you know, it's not too slow where it's like, you know, the show stops dead, but it's nice, it's slow enough to the point where he can put his like cute little bat wings on. And like try and jump scare people in the audience. I've got bat wings
He is
suddenly.
spooky little
Oh,
boy.
I would have given anything though to being a part of the Ghost fan base during Turzo's time though, to get that kind of like that close, you know, Cerise moment. Because like you see some videos where he takes people's hands and puts them on his chest and stuff. You know, like he just really went for it. Like you know,
He did a little bit of that
God.
during Cardinal too,
Yeah.
because the venues were still small enough where the crowds were close and he could do stuff like that. It's only when they got like when they started getting more popular, they started ending up in bigger venues where there's just like this huge gap in the barrier, and it's just like
Can we have a moment of silence for our fallen angel Vicky, who on the last tour got to hold his hand?
only two from Papa Four's era.
Yeah, and the one where Tozo actually kisses that person. Are you okay? If you're out there, how you doing? How you holding up?
Can we
Are
interview?
you okay? Can we ask?
Specifically about that moment. I also love the video as well. There's one where he's holding somebody's hand, and then it's like from a side angle, and he like starts tickling their palm, and then they start tickling his palm back.
Oh, I want to be sick.
You're like, I love this. This is great.
Jealousy is a disease, and I am riddled with it.
Sam.
Oh, absolutely. Me too.
Every video of a Cerise performance just like makes me like sick, and like in like good ways and bad ways, because I'm just like, why is it not me? But it's just like, oh my god, I'm so happy for you, but why is it not me?
It's like that one as well. They did the festival where he came fully off the stage and came right up to the barrier and climbed up on the barrier in front of her. You know, it was like had her hand like up on his chest and stuff, and you're like, oh, ah, should have been me.
Screaming into my pillow right now.
Yeah, it's great. Like, but it works so well with the song, you know, because I can't imagine like if especially at a festival or something, or where they're like, you know, it's like, you know, you don't know who this band is, like, and you have this moment with them, you would be in love for the rest of your life. I feel like, you know, like, or at least for a period of time where you're just like obsessed, because like it's such a like the only other kind of band I have that I have any kind of in-depth thought process on was 30 Seconds to Mars, and their whole kind of thing was, yes, it is a cult, but like they never really kind of like, it was only kind of more like a wink wink nudge nudge type thing that would like he never really ever like he thought he thinks he's Charles Manson or some shit now. I don't know what the fuck's going on with him. But like he tries to get the cult attitude, like the kind of culty vibe that like chic cult for some reason. But like with one song, like Tobias managed to, just create this kind of this song that just sucks you in, and you just want to know more, and and the fact they won the Grammy for their first nomination for this song, just I feel like speaks volumes to how good it is as well, because that's very rare for especially rock bands to win their first Grammy nomination. Like
wasn't they like one of the like only 3 people from Sweden to have won a Grammy or something?
Yeah,
Something crazy like that.
They're also the first band in Grammy history to win it anonymously, technically, at the time, because at the time, their names weren't out there or anything, so they basically won it anonymously. So I think they're like the only band to ever win anonymously. That video's so funny because you can see them running in because they were late.
Hello, we are a ghost.
There's like 5 people in the room. Like, I hate them. We've talked about it before about the way the Grammys are, but it's a shame that they shove that stuff in there like that. And then, actually, speaking of Cerise again, I'm jumping all over the place because my brain is just pulling things out. Thinking of Cerise performances when they did what do you call him? Stephen Colbert.
Oh yeah.
When he like they had the people come down from the audience, and he like pushes her back.
Oh Lord!
How did I get that job? How is you know what I mean? Like, and that's an amazing. Imagine seeing Ghost. Like, that's the first time you ever see Ghost. You'd be like, hello.
I want in.
I want in. How do I get in? Is there a fee? But I remember him saying in an interview where he said they jokingly said they wanted to set somebody on fire. And Stephen Colbert's team came back and were like, we can't really let you do that because the building's really old. And I was like, no, we're just joking. We can't really let you do that. We can't really have any fire or anything because the building's like old and listed. So like,
yeah,
it's just like bless.
Like, we totally would let you do that, but
health and safety regulations dictate otherwise.
Yeah, it's so funny. I think it was for like a Halloween special because Stephen Colbert's dressed up as a vampire. So he is like he has vampire fangs in. It's great. And then you have the kind of first introduction of the keytar into like a ghost song with him up on top and stuff. I guess where they're bringing in the kind of more like the keyboards coming into. It starts kind of sneaking in, and the keytar kind of starts coming out, and it's great. 10 out of 10.
Moving on to, this is going to be a quicker one. Spock Sonnet, which translates to Ghost Sonnet or Ghost Song. Little foreshadowing into Rats. It's the same riff. That's all I'm going to say, really. I don't think there's much else on that.
It's nice. I like it. I love the harp.
I can't remember the interview that it was from. I'm pretty sure it was from a magazine or article, talking about how he wrote Rats while also writing like Meliora. So like it was Rats was supposed to be part of it, but then like when he finished it, he's like it doesn't fit the vibe of Meliora, so he kind of just put it to the side.
I kind of know a few like promoters and stuff just from the stuff I do, and I know Ghost like promotion, like, or at least one of the promotion teams, and I've managed to find their old things like newsletters they sent out promoting Meliora, and it says it in there that where he said something like, "Oh, there's a song that will later come out called Rats," and this was in like 2015 when he was talking, because it gave like a breakdown of each song, and he names it even back in 2015. So yay, Rats. This one's a little bit more intricate, and that is he is.
Oh God.
Italians do not come for me. Okay, how do you say it? Was it Lei? Lei? how it used to be titled. Lei and then an E with a
Lee?
sort of
He
accent.
said it in that Loudwire interview. I'm trying to
Lei.
remember.
So there's a lot of things that this song is about. He says it's a sort of ode to his wife, Ball, because she liked a lot of smarmy Italian music. It's also potentially about a friend who passed away, who was Salem Lemushi, who was a fellow musician. He sadly committed suicide. So it was a tribute to him. It's also parodying the sort of hymns that you hear in church, but it's also in the Little Punk People interview where he mentions it's about his friend. He also mentions the chorus is about his brother, which obviously, if you know, sadly passed away as well.
Yeah.
The little Latin bit in the chorus where it's oh god, I can't say this. Nostra
Nostra de
Pistata.
Spata.
That bit, yeah. It basically translates to "Our God of Hell, our nourishing mother." I get a lot of flack for saying I don't really like "He Is" to listen to that much, but I think it's because it is literally doing what it says on the tin, where because it is parodying a hymn in church, it just gives me like, I just feel uncomfortable because it's like that
Yeah.
preachy sound. So mission accomplished, sir. You got me pissed. But then I say that, and then every time I hear it live, I'm just there like sobbing. So who knows at this point with me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Great
gotta
song.
say, the first time I heard it, instantly was in tears, and I left. And I said to my friend, I was like, I never thought that I would be crying about Satan.
Life's
we are.
funny that way. I have a fact about the music video.
God, yeah,
There
that
is
music
a
video.
little quick shot in there. It's a very quick, like subliminal, like split-second shot of a picture of a guy, and his name was Tony Almo, and he was
Mm.
basically a evangelicist kind of preacher, and he was arrested for loads of different things. I have a list. It's like tax evasion, gun smuggling, and transporting minors across state lines for the purpose of having sex with them.
Standard priest, then, isn't it?
Standard preacher. But here's the funny thing about Tony. Tony used to design jackets, and those jackets are now really sought after pieces of fashion, and they're worn by people like Michael Jackson, Nicki Minaj, Miley Cyrus, Burt Reynolds, Dolly Parton, Brooke Shields. Like they all had jackets made by this man, and I'm like, huh. Woof, woof, that is a bad man to be buying clothes off of. But yeah, like he opened up, like he started it's like again the video, like he has this whole thing about mega churches, like it's making fun of the idea of these people who say they can heal you and they're just taking money off you, and yeah, like Tony Almo was the perfect person to use for that because he did that. Like he tried to release music and stuff at one point, I think, as well. Like if I read that, like he would make he had made all these businesses that kind of came off of like his church, you know. Yeah, shitty man, but like a perfect person to use as like a visual face for the kind of concept of what the video is meant to be representing,
I also love how Tobe is literally in that for a whole like 2 minutes. Well, no,
yeah.
like 2 seconds with the he's literally just doing the close-ups and then they're like, "Yep, the other guy can do that."
He did that quite a lot though.
Oh yeah, I know, but it makes me laugh on the behind the scenes photo where you can see the top half of him is in like the Turzo gear and then he's in skinny jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's great video. Like I love that shot of him, the shot of Turzo whenever the camera's kind of like pushing in, and he's kind of like beckoning you in closer, and then there's that little moment where he kind of does the arm pumps in the air, like the he is, like that's all I can hear him say in my head whenever I hear the song. It's not like him just doing little arm pumps, like yeah, and then you've got the very busty choir running around with no bras on, and you're like, hello, mams.
Isn't there the behind the scenes video as well where they're literally all just dancing to "Come On Eileen" in the audio, like in
Yes!
the aisle? I fucking cry thinking about that.
It's so funny. Like he's just coming up the aisle like, woo!
Come on, Eileen. There's
It-
that one bit in the actual music video as well, which is very like subliminal, where like obviously they're all taking the communion, and there's that like very attractive woman who's sitting there sort of like tongue out looking up,
Yeah.
and it's very like sexual.
Yeah.
And I'm like, me, please.
Mina is shove it out of the road. Just hear a thump off screen. But it's a great video. It's like one of the ones as well where you can like. I feel like the videos in this era is where you can start seeing as well. They're getting a bit of budget to make somewhat better videos. You know, like again, like you can see them get like. I love that you can visually see them getting more successful because like the production's going up. You
Yeah.
know, and it's great. And also as well, I will say. Not my favorite outfit on Terzo. I don't mind the white suit, but it's not my favorite.
No, yeah.
I know some people are like obsessed with like white suit Terzo, but I'm like, it's
White
okay.
Zootopia, on the other
Makes me look
hand.
like an
White
asshole.
Zootopia. I like the pink shirt. I will say the pink shirt's nice. Reminds me of The Simpsons. The whole episode of The Simpsons where Homer has the pink shirt. That's probably not a reference at all, but it's what immediately comes to my head. It's The Simpsons when I see a pink shirt.
Yeah, the actual song like I say, I think I'm uncomfortable for the whole point of the song because of like I say, it's very Jesus-y almost. But obviously about Satan.
I did read somebody. I don't know how true this is, but it's still funny if it is. Even if it isn't, it's still funny. But I've read where somebody said that their dad used to work on a like kind of local religious radio station, and they got into a fight or something with somebody at the radio station, and so they had to leave the job. And so the last thing they did was play "He Is" on the radio when people were coming
my
out of
God.
church. Like he managed to get it through the radio because they weren't listening really to the lyrics, and like if you don't really listen to it, it sounds like a worship song. So like, and then like the next day, apparently they were like inundated with complaints because people had actually listened. I don't know how true that is, but I remember reading that and I was like, "That's great if that's true." I enjoy anybody being petty. You know what I mean? Like
It's just a good song, and it's an amazing live moment, and I love it.
I mean, I have this opinion with a lot of Ghost songs, but it's one of those songs where it's better live, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Especially because everyone like gets involved where like they'll like they'll light up the audience with like their phones and everything. And in LA, like everyone made it, or not everyone, but a lot of people like made it a point where they brought in these light up bracelets so they could still light up the arena as much as they could when He Is came on, and it was very pretty, and you could see shots of it in the trailer. Nice.
Yep, we did it.
We did it.
Which, by the way, by the time this episode comes out, I think we will have seen the film by the time this one comes out, so that'll be interesting to see. I can't say I'm speaking now as an early June speaker of it probably looked great. By the time we listen to this, we'll know it looked great.
It probably it looks amazing. I say not seeing the movie, but just being biased, unbiased towards an Ghost release. It's great.
To all the future listeners who have probably seen the movie by the time you watch this episode, how are you doing? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you alive?
I'm gonna go into that a bit more when we get to the first song off Popestar because I've got things to say. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How are you okay? Speaking of not being okay, let's move on to Mummy Dust.
Oh God.
I've literally just wrote down Trump, evil, money, rah. I had to Google so many fucking words when I first heard this song, and even now I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like crapulence I thought that was a made-up word.
Me too. I thought that was just another Tobias Forge special.
It's not. It's a word.
When you said that was a real word, I was like, how? How is this a real word?
So I actually looked up quite a bit on this because there's a lot of things especially as like an English person that doesn't jump out at me at first. Like obviously, you guys over in the US know that obviously "In God We Trust" is on your dollar bills. It's plastered in a lot of places actually, from what I've seen. And I found this interesting fact, which it says U.S. money is made of a linen blend, not just paper, and mummies are also wrapped in linen as well. So I thought that was it because I was trying to figure out where the term mummy dust comes from, and the only thing I found was the most reliable source on the internet, Urban Dictionary. Mummy dust is a slang term referring to components, ingredients, or accessories that manufacturers add to their products to enhance them, but actually have no useful or scientific basis for inclusion. So
Yeah.
I think it
it means
also
that
comes from the time that people like in the 20s when Egypt was very popular and interesting, and they're having like an occult resurgence. People basically were like the reason that antiquities in Egypt are so strongly protected now is because like in the 20s people were basically just like stealing mummies and like powdering them into dust and adding them the actual mummies into things like their mummy brown was a paint. People were like ingesting it as like an aphrodisiac or like just like different things that they were just stealing people's bodies
They
and
used to
just
have
idea
mummy
that was
unwrapping. Yeah, they used to have mummy unwrapping parties.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to take home a little piece of the mummy, like the gauze that was wrapped around the mummy.
Mm-hmm.
Was this an American thing, or is this the thing that
No,
I just completely
Britain.
missed out?
No, it was a very much a
Oh,
worldwide thing.
Yeah, they did it in Britain too. Yeah.
wow! I did not know. I was wow. I thought
Yeah.
like when you started going on that tangent, I thought you were going to go into a joke about the Brits like stealing everything to put into the British Museum, but
We do that. They do
mind
do
blown.
it. Yes.
We do that.
That too, but no, like just random. Like if you had enough money to be able to purchase a mummy from Egypt, you could do whatever you wanted with it.
Yep.
And they did
They were
everything.
actually finding that many. There was actually a time where they were finding that many mummies that they were using them for firewood. That's what that joke in the Mummy movie is. You could dry that fellow out and use him for firewood. That's what they were doing. They were literally burning the mummies.
Wow, I'm shook.
Yeah.
I honestly had no idea this was a thing.
Yeah.
This that actually changes my whole perspective on this song. Interestingly,
Yeah.
can we just a big topic, especially given what's just been going on in the news recently? Can we shit on Trump for a bit?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll take any opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I think we need permission for that.
If you're listening and you're a Trump supporter, why here? I'm just saying.
Yeah,
But
I think
another
I think that with Ghost in general. If you're a Trump supporter, why are you listening to Ghost?
well, there is that. But content warning: we're going to shit on your favorite orange man right now.
Fuck him.
Fuck him. But yeah, it's a very I think before like a lot of speeches, especially because he was in office, well, as president, during Turzo's time, and he was like giving the speeches of like he is not the fucking president, especially before this song, and it was like saying like this song is a really evil song about an evil motherfucker and all this. So
yeah, because they were starting to like equivalent Mammon with Trump.
Yeah.
As well, like he was kind of like blending the two of them together. Because like to be honest, like Trump has a gold. Like Trump is. I watched a great video once about Trump where he's not a rich man's rich man, you know, because real rich people are kind of like this is not me like being like fuck millionaires, but like like fuck billionaires and all this shit because you can never be an ethical billionaire. But like most really rich people are very subtle about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas Trump is gold plated everything, you know? So he is a poor man's rich man. He is for poor people who think that is what it means to be rich, you know? Tacky richness, you know? And like he is a perfect he is a perfect like modern kind of like image of what Mammon, because Mammon is supposed to be like the personification of the lust for for material gain and stuff like that there. And like he like his fucking giant apartment and all that he has in New York and shit, everything's gold plated. He talks constantly the best cars, like all that bullshit. Like and like so he is like the pinnacle of like kind of modern, the kind of the stupid man's lust for kind of betterness. They think if he does great, I'll do better. When this man has never helped a single person in his life, he's never ever kind of done anything that would any class as helping better in the world, but like he has got these people to support him that believe for some reason that he will help, and you're like, he won't. He doesn't care about you. You guys are just idiots to him.
Yeah.
And to everybody else. But like to him, you are just sheep, Like
yeah.
you are just butts to fill seats out. Like that's all that's all you are. You could die you could be standing dying in front of that man, and he would just be like,
he wouldn't even
"Get away
spit
from
on
me."
you to put you out.
Yeah, like the man wears diapers, so he isn't pissing on you to put out a fire if you're on fire. But like, it's a great song for him. I will say, just kind of going off Trump a second, I will say I'm not the hugest fan of this song to listen to on a CD. Live, for multiple reasons, it's better live.
Yeah.
But like again, with all the songs with Ghost that are not my favorites, it's not that I don't like them. I just feel like execution wise, it's not my favorite, but with content, it's perfect. Because like the idea of like having "In God You Trust" on money, it's like God supports capitalism.
Yeah. It's I always find the vocally, like, it always sounds like he's like underwater. Like he's like,
Yeah.
I know, I've never understood that like that phaser effect kind of thing, but you do you, boo.
You do you.
Also, I do like how we've now got, like, from this, we've got the Mummy Dust collectibles from which, okay, I'm gonna go off on a rant for 1 second. I'll keep this as quick as possible. And I've noticed it a lot. I am gonna point fingers with American fans. That there's the very, like, capitalization, if that's a word, of the Mummy Dust free confetti that we get. Like, it's like, oh, it's almost ironic. It's like, here is this note that I got for free, and I'm gonna sell it for $50.
Yeah.
Like,
This Facebook post about me selling this free money, this free fake money that I got that's supposed to represent nothing, is an encapsulation of me missing the fucking point.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you've seen pictures of people leaving concerts with like bagfuls of the fake money, and then like if I was gonna be selling stuff like reselling T-shirts and stuff, because like that's just a thing people do, T-shirt selling and all that. There, if I was doing that, it's like you get free mummy dust with it, like I have a fuck ton of it. But like you see people, like I remember I saw somebody selling, like it was a Caturzo one, and they were selling it for like $300, and I'm like, you completely missed the point. It's not worth anything. Again, it's about the crash, because like they were printing so much money that it wasn't worth anything at one point. Like the whole thing of recession and all, like money is not worth anything unless who's up top puts how much it's worth. God, we used to trade in fucking like in Egypt they trade in bread. You know what I mean?
Salt.
Like and salt and shit and beer and fish and things. Like things that are actually, that you can use. You can eat it if you feel like it. You can't eat money. I mean, you can try. It's just it's gonna suck, especially British money. It's fucking plastic. But fucking chewing on a £5 note, like
Plastic.
But also as well, we were talking earlier before the pod started. We were talking about the carried on a wolf's back.
Yeah.
The thing about that is basically, I think it's a reference to the creation of Rome. Because they're supposed to be Romulus and Remus were saved by the god Tiberius, Turbinus, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it. And basically, one of the most famous images of them is a wolf, and them suckling from a wolf.
Oh, okay.
They looked like the god looked like a wolf, and basically raised them, and then they created Rome. Like that's the that's the kind of analogy of that. So like the idea of Rome as well, because like Rome at one point thought they would never fall. Like the Roman Empire spread over the entire universe, and the only country in the world that is also like Rome is America. Like Eddie Izzard made that joke. Like America's the only other country that does the hand over their heart when they're pledging allegiance to a flag, which is what Rome did. They used to put their hands over their heart when they were pledging allegiances and stuff like that. you know. And so like, you know, like the rise of the Roman Empire, and then it collapsed like they never thought they would, you know, like all like his whole thing, I've noticed for some reason, it's just like the rise of empires and then them falling like a flan in a cupboard, you know. Like
Stay tuned for the Emperor episode.
Yep, we're gonna get more into that there. But yeah, this whole album again, it's like the rise of an empire that thinks it will fall and then it just comes crashing down, you know. And yeah, like again, like it's just the irony isn't lost, I feel, even on him, because like he did start doing this thing as well, like he was like really vocally being like, this isn't worth anything to people in the audience. Like he was like really, you know, like holding it up and being like, not worth anything. There's no value on this, you know, there's a market for trading these, like selling these pieces of paper that he's literally going, this is not worth anything. You know,
the amount of times I've been elbowed in the face by these big ass white dudes trying to like get these things so they could sell them. Like, like, oh, fuck's sake, it's not that deep.
It's you're just proving that you're missing the point when you're doing that shit. You know, like you've just completely, like, it just goes whoosh over the top of your head. You know, it's like it's when people get offended by things in lyrics and stuff. Like, you know, like I know we're not nowhere near a para. But like Mariana Cross is a good example of that. Like, you know, not even a para, sorry, prequel. But like Mariana Cross, people are like, oh, it's a nice song, and then they look at it and go, and you're like, yeah, it's a Satan band. What do you fucking think he's singing about? You know, like, it's just because I feel one of the issues what happened was the Satanism became subtler, more subtle, you know, a lot more subtle. Like, it wasn't like, you know, like, obviously, like, in first two albums, like, Hail Satan, you know, like, literally first line out, you know, Lucifer, we're here. Like, he's very on the nose with the Satanism. But then he started to become, like, the Satanism started to become more subtle, more, you know, it's spread through the songs in a more, not in your face kind of way. So people kind of miss the point. Like, the amount of songs where they miss the point, people seem to miss the fucking point. It just grows as the albums go on. I need him to waste another song that's just like him, and it's just like 4 second song. And he's going, I'd like to remind you all that this band is about Satan. Thank you.
Well, yeah, because like Mummy does, it's talking about like the evils and the most like evil things, but it's actually what's actually happening in the world, like Trump.
Yeah.
Like Trump is Satan, basically.
Yeah, Trump is the real world equivalent of the personification of the want of greed and the want for a financial gain, which is mammon. And this is, you know, this is what in his mind, he's like, this is, you know, like, actually listen to me, listen to what I'm saying. Stop just looking at me going, funny clown band. Oh, it's the clown band. Like,
oh my god, the clown band.
You know, like that's why I feel like some people just, like, again, like I've said about this before, I'm baffled when I see there's right-wing fans of Ghost. I'm like, are you're clearly not listening, or
I
you're
still want to do an episode
willfully
on this.
Yeah, like, you're willfully ignoring it. You know, like, because like this man is like, you know, he's pro LGBT, he's anti-Trump, he is not a racist. You know, like, he talks constantly like he is a feminist. You know, like, again, liberal mother. You know, like, it's just because he listens to bands that are slightly like, you know, more on conservative side does not mean that he is. And I feel like people just are too busy, you know, like blind, like especially right wing fans are just blinders on, not paying, like, no, I don't understand like what they get from it. You know, like, it's just like they're so dumb they can't see the fucking big red writing on the thing that's like, you are an idiot if you like this, and if you're a supporter of Trump, you're a fucking idiot, and if you think of world's flat, you are an idiot. And they're like, wow, this band's great, and you're like, what?
I wish I was that blissfully unaware. I think life would be easier.
God, it'd be so much fun to be that stupid sometimes, I think.
I know, right?
You know?
I had two thoughts while we were talking. As far as the mummy dust goes, like, I think it's kind of because American money is basically, our money system only works because the government says it's money. Like, we don't have, our money is not backed by anything, like, at all. Like British money is backed by pound sterling, or at least it used to be. But like there's nothing there. So it's basically only money because our government's like, yep, this is money and it's worth stuff. So like the actual mummy dust like that comes out of the cannons, like it's very much like our actual money. It only has value because somebody is saying like, yeah, this has value to me. So like people who are, selling it for $300 for, $120 for 3 of them, like it it only has that value because if someone is willing to pay that,
Yeah.
if someone out there says, yes, this has that value. So it is kind of like our actual real life American money in that way, which is kind of upsetting.
We can build our own America using nothing but ghost mummy dust money. We'll buy an island with it.
And then there were, had that interview in El Paso where Joe was like, I believe in America. It's like, wait, so do you, maybe he only believes in America and that he believes America will be able to continue giving him content to write about.
I love America because, God, what would I write music about if I didn't have America?
Wow. These people are
he believes in America in the European sense of it, because like Europeans are fed through media and just through general kind of consumption that America is the land of dreams. Like you can go to America and be whoever you want to be. Like that's what Europeans are told. And like for years I was always like, I want to go to America. I would love to live in America. Like the goal in my life was like, at some point I'm going to go live in America. And then you get older and you're like, oh, I'm just going to stay here.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you guys okay? And it's just like America's looking back at Europe like, no. Go.
It's very rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah, he is viewing America, because also as well he's viewing America from the point of view of like all of his favorite bands are probably from America. His like movies come from America. It gives him all of the things that he loves. So he's viewing it through that, like, again, that kind of rose tinted glasses, like you said, of like, America gives me all the things I like, so I like America. And you're like,
not to shit on him, because it's rare for me to shit on Tobias Forge, but he's also in a position now where if he went over there, he'd be fine, like as in like financially and stuff. So like he's not gonna struggle like maybe certain groups of people like who were born there. So it's like it's easy to say like, yeah, America's great when you've got like money and a stable career type thing.
Yeah. And even Americans, like, we have been fed this American dream, how there is no other country like America, and you can be whatever you want to be in America, and blah 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 blah. Like it is at this point, it is very much just like a lot of blah blah blah, because maybe at some point things were kind of like that. Like maybe in the 20s things were like that. There were a lot of people who were like bootstrapping themselves up from nothing. But it is very much not like that anymore.
No. Well, I'm gonna move us on quickly. Like I say, I think we can maybe come back to this at some point, because it's really like it is actually quite an interesting subject, and I think we could literally delve almost line by line with Mummy Dust with like the points we were just making. But yeah, going back to Satan now.
Hey!
With Majesty.
Good old Satan.
Yeah. So Majesty is a very like on the nose, like almost worship song, I guess, to Satan, where it's like Old One, Master. I also found it funny. I don't know why that I went to see Vilvallo a couple of weeks ago, and I've been a hymn fan since like 2004, like low key, not like majorly, but like. And I only found out that the hymn actually stands for His Infernal Majesty, which obviously there's the line "Your Infernal Majesty" in the song Majesty. This one was always like when I was first getting into Ghost, this one was one of the ones that was just kind of like, you know, when we were talking about Death Nil, just sort of being like a filler track. This was kind of like that for me, and I think it still kind of is in a way, but I still like it. Yeah, what do we think?
I have a quote here from Tobias from a Blabbermouth interview where he says, lyrically, it's on one hand a hymn about the Dark Lord of the Underworld. On the other hand, it paints a picture, of a swarm of people whom, in a world of complete disaster, idolize an authority that is clearly looking down upon them. How to love something that hates you back.
That's like what we just said about Trump, then.
Yeah. Again, it's like the whole idea of like authorities over the top of people and then being like, "We love you," I'm like, "We don't give a shit."
That is literally like, I mean, again, without going too deep into it, sorry, I've cut you off. Like,
No, sorry.
in the UK with Rishi Sunak, I don't understand, and again, I won't go into it too much because I could rant for hours. Why fucking working class people vote Tory? But what you just said there reminded me of that, because it is literally like people like Rishi Sunak who are billionaires do not care about the working class folk. So why are you voting for them? Anyway,
It's like
sorry,
that.
carry on.
I saw as I said, that video of like the two people who were going to the food bank, and they were like, "We're going to vote Conservative," and you're like, "They're the reason you're going to a fucking food bank."
Exactly.
There's more food banks in the UK now than McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like, what the
That's saying
fuck?
something.
Yeah, like there are more poor children currently in the UK than there's ever been before. More people are in the worst state ever, and then there's these people, these like, I don't want to be like the bootlickers or like, you know, but the Conservatives can save us. Like when? At what point?
14 years to try and nothing. It's only got worse.
Yeah, like, and not like, I don't really want to get into like too much into like current things that are going on currently in the world because it's just so much. But like, it's like this government is currently funding a fucking genocide. Like, what? They're not saving anybody. They're doing the actual opposite of that right now.
Yeah,
Like,
the literal opposite.
yeah, you know, like it's one of those things where it's just like the whole album. Like, Meliora is one of those albums where the songs all fit together so well because they overlap with each other again. Because like Mummy Dust and Majesty obviously like back to back, and then they over like the themes kind of carry on over each song. You know, like the whole album is constructed so well that the whole thing about, you know, like being lured in by something, thinking that it loves you, but then in reality it doesn't. It doesn't care. You're just another body on the pile for it. You know. And like again, it's like again, it's like very like on the face of it, it's a very kind of overt, you know, again like worship song for Satan, you know. But then underneath of it is with the theme of the album. It's that whole again the just the idea of like the capitalism and, you know, like how it destroys people, and like people go, well, you own a phone, so you can't talk about capitalism. It's like, I own a phone because I have to.
In this day and age, yeah.
Yeah, you know, like whenever you see people like there was this whole thing on TikTok recently of a girl, or she was at the Met Gala and she was like, "Let them eat cake," like, you know, the Marie Antoinette quote, you know, and she's like, the tickets for them were like $5,000 or something to get them to the Met Gala and stuff. And somebody replied saying, "Honey, I can't even afford cake right now," and she was like, "Yet you have a phone? Make it make sense." And
Oh,
you're
I
like,
know.
"Bitch."
Like,
Just because
people have their phones for multiple years.
Yeah, like
Like,
my mobile phone I have a Samsung S8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I haven't been able to like really get myself a new phone because I just can't. But my phone is like, it's like, oh, please get a new
And
one.
then,
You know, I'm
yeah.
like, I can't right now.
I mean, obviously, like, again, without going, I mean, I think it's people who know us, hopefully you understand that we are what side of the fence we're on with this thing. But obviously, there's the
Yes.
whole thing with Congo, and Sudan and stuff with the minings of materials and stuff. So, you know, we as a world now are becoming into a time where we are aware of stuff like that now, where we can now make these ethical decisions based around that as well. So it is just like, I don't know what point I'm trying to make, but I'm just
No, but
basically
I get
saying like,
yeah, I get what you mean. No, I completely
yeah. So it is like you said, it's weird how think what I'm trying to say is like how Meliora, although it was released like almost 10 years, 10 years ago. Yeah, almost 10 years ago at this point. It's still relevant. We haven't changed a lot since, really.
It's getting worse, if anything.
Yeah, actually.
We have seeped very nicely through Perkel into Impera. Like, as far as far as the cycles go, Tobias did say that, our history is cyclical. Things do go through cycles. And oh boy, we are cycling.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah.
Like, I keep joking saying that we're like back in the 70s,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, satanic panic's on the rise. The way the war's going, like, we have protests every day from like college campuses again. People protesting college campuses and things. The way the music's sounding, recession coming in. But there's like people are writing anti-war songs again. Like there's so many anti-war songs and stuff, and you're like, wow, we really are in the 70s, aren't we? I'm like, yay, I get to see the Satanic Panic at first person this time. And not retroactively. That's the only thing about the woohoo about what's currently going on. The world's on fire behind me, and I'm like, woohoo, Satanic Panic. Like, oh god. But it's that's the whole thing about what I like about ghosts in general is we it makes you want to learn about stuff. It makes you want to look into things, and it makes you want to have an opinion. You know what I mean? Like if you're really listening to these songs and understanding what they are, you will start to have an opinion if you didn't before.
This is what like I won't name drop who or what was said to me, but like I had a reply on a Palestine post I did where it was like, can you not bring ghosts into like current political happenings? I'm like, do you know Ghost? Like,
yeah,
bruh.
bruh. Like it's if you read into everything, it's very political and it's very like it's not narrative in a fictional sense, but I'm trying to sound cleverer than I am here, but you know what I mean. Like it's
you are clever, you are smart, and you're special.
It's it discusses like what is happening not only throughout previous history but current events and potential future events. So it would be dumb to say like you can't bring ghosts and politics in when, like we say, mummy dust exists or anything that this
Kaisarian
band has ever
exists.
fucking done. Yeah, exactly.
Like the man stood on stage the entire time Meliora was out and was saying "fuck Trump." Like you can't say this man has no political standards.
And we discussed. I'm going to say this very quickly because it's not really relevant to the episode. But there was that photo of Tobias stood outside the White House around this time, maybe, with a Trump crossed out pin on his jacket, and I was like, bold move, sir. Bold move, sir.
Yeah. This kind of on topic of Trump's things. I did see a very funny video on Twitter yesterday. There was like Trump supporters because obviously he was found guilty. Like as of recording this episode, he was found guilty on 34 counts of like money laundering, which is hilarious. But there was like Trump supporters out in New York and stuff, and I saw a video of this British woman and her husband who just went and she was like, "We're just here for the entertainment value, really," and they're shouting things like "fuck the Queen" and "fuck the King" and all this here, and you're like, "Do you think that's going to offend a British person?"
Yeah.
But it was so funny. Like this woman it was so British. It was just here for the entertainment value. And she's laughing at these Trump supporters. She's like, they're monsters, aren't they? Like she was like laughing when saying this. Like and they're like,
it's like
yeah, that's what she was like. She was, and her husband's like trying to get her away. Like he's not having any of it. She's having a queen moment, but thinking it's hilarious and like laughing at these people. And it's just like Trump supporters don't understand. That's how people see them. They think that they are like we're the ones who know what's going on, like QAnon and all this here, and you're like,
I'm just laughing at you on TikTok, mate.
yeah,
like buddy, you barely can find your own butt to wipe it. I don't. You do not know the secrets of the universe or anything.
yeah. Also, as well, because of like Trump supporters and stuff, I used to like love conspiracy theories, but like about aliens and things like that there, and like Bigfoot and stuff. I was like, oh, I love conspiracy theories. Whenever 2020 happened and COVID and stuff, and like Trump supporters just in general, I was like, I hate conspiracies now because they're all just racist or anti-Semitic, and I just like, this is not fun anymore. I want let me out of the ride. Yeah, it's not fun.
Well, given moving on from one song about the devil to another. There's not too much to say about this given it's an instrumental, but with Devil Church, apparently this was supposed to be the beginning of Cerise, and it was meant to be, as quoted here, a very dark and doomy 9-minute instrumental without a chorus. And I don't know whether they mean 9 minutes including Cerise or 9 minutes and then Cerise, and I'm like, but either
No,
way,
I think it means including Cerise.
even if you add like the current Devil Church in with Cerise, it's still like there's an extra 3 minutes to add somewhere, so that would have been interesting. But yeah, I kind of not much to say on.
I would have personally have put it at the beginning of the album.
For a 9-minute Tobias Forge song, let's do it.
We're getting there. Respite is like 7.5. We're getting there.
Yep. So quickly moving on.
I personally would have put Devil Devil's Church is the one that sounds like the organs and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that I would have put that at the beginning of the album as kind of just like an opener for the album if I was just me. Like, I know why you put it in the middle. It's
yeah,
to kind
I
of.
think that.
But I guess it's just like a little kind of warm up to the album, and then go into Spirit. But
yeah, it would have flowed quite nicely actually.
Yeah,
but
that's just me.
But yeah, and then
we know things. We're smart. Hire us to do things for you.
And then we go into Absolution, which is again, this is a very strong theme here where it says Absolution is a song about a wealthy person realizing at the end of their life that they cannot bring their money, fame, or power with them when they die.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the word absolution means formal, like a formal release from guilt, obligation, or punishment.
So
it is.
Me and Cammy got a sick dance going on in LA once that came on.
Absolution is probably my favorite song off of Meliora. So
it's grown on me, especially since seeing it live. That's and Mr. Forge singing at me that one time, but as I keep saying, that was very sexual. That was you know what? If I never get Cerised, but I've been all those things you've been desired. If that's my only big interaction, I'll take it. It was great. 10 out of 10. I died.
And then you came back and you died again.
And I didn't get to bring my money or fame with me. But, or lack of. Yeah, a great song.
I love Absolution. And like the line of just like all those things that you desire, you will find here in the fire is kind of like double-edged because it's like the things that you desire, like you'll find with Satan, because Satan in the fire, fiery pits. But also kind of in Revelations, it talks about like when you go to heaven, you're laying up rewards is the phrase that it uses. And like you are either laying up wood and dross, as it says, or you're laying up gold and precious stones, and all of your rewards will be passed through the fire in heaven, and either you'll be left with your precious stones because you're doing what you're supposed to do, or you'll be left with nothing because your wood and dross will be burned up. So I think it's kind of interesting there because it, like, talking about you can't take it with you. You're when you die, your stuff is gonna pass through the fire. But also, like, you can find everything you want through Satan.
Satan.
So you're telling me when I die, I can't take my Papa Emeritus Funko with me?
Shove it up my ass and it'll go into the ground with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna try my best.
Bury me with my
More
vinyls.
trauma, that's to take it with
That
me.
dildo is coming with me. I paid good money for that.
But again, it's like everything turns to dust. Do you mean mummy dust?
Oh.
Oh. But it's again like these songs, like again, like the whole album is like there's a reason why this album is probably a lot of people's favorite Ghost album, because like the first two albums are great. Like I fucking love both the first two albums, but they kind of like the theme is Satan, Satan, you know, like
Satan.
could it be Satan? But like it's kind of like the themes are all over the place. So the songs kind of jump, you know, to different, like he just kind of grabs, you know, from like the huge cloud that floats above his head with just all these things that he likes, you know, like about Elizabeth Bathory and all those things, you know, or whatever, you know, the song's like based on the 60s. But like with Meliora, it's such a strong kind of through line of like the golden kind of veneer of a society just crumbling down and turning into nothing because nothing lasts. Everything, you know, you'll die at some point. You can't take shit with you when you go. You be sitting on mountains of money, and then when you die, you're just, you know, either
Yeah,
you're
it's a very
turned into dust or you're buried in a hole. There you go.
yeah, it's
know?
very highlighting on society and how materialistic it is.
Mm. Great.
Um,
It's such a solid album. Like
Have you
really
got
coming into
anything?
his own.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. So then the final track we've got is Deus. Oh, fucking hell, Deus in Absentia, which
Great song.
translates to God in Absence. It's very much about like death, and there's that sort of haunting clock ticking, as the clock is for all of us. Yeah, great ending, I'd say.
I love the I can't even, like the tone of the song. You know, the world is on fire, and you are here to stay and burn with me. I love like, you know, like the whole, like it's just it's so I don't even know how, it's hard to describe what I mean. It's like it's a very bouncy song. You know what I mean? Like it's
For
a
a
very
very morbid theme, I
yeah, for
suppose.
very yeah, like everything else he ever writes. You know, it's like Dance Macabre. We'll get into prequel. Obviously, it's just like dancing because everybody's dying. You know, like there's also like that great video where he talked about when they played it live for the first time. I always think about the way like I always get images in my head like that get stuck in my head from seeing different videos and stuff, and that one always sticks in my head of him singing it as Terzo, you know, and he's kind of just walking about stage, you know, clicking his hands and like you know, it's just it's like, again, like it's so like we know we mentioned him right at the beginning, but Klaus was such a good like producer to have on this album because he just like he helped create like such a solid album, you know, like bands' second and third albums are usually where they kind of like wobble a little bit because they're like sometimes the well's running dry.
Yeah.
You know, like you can look down the hole and you're like, shit, I'm running out of shit to write about. You know, whereas Tobias Forge looks down the well and is like, oh, it's filling back up again. Sweet.
I don't think that man will ever run out.
Yeah, he has a very broad theme of Satan, so like he has so much to grab from, which is great. You know, it's like Satan and everything that falls under the umbrella of that. You know, things the church doesn't like. It's like, oh, what era? He said he wrote this in a hotel, didn't he? Like he wrote it in Vegas or something. Or I think he said.
I don't know why when you said that the line "bareback in disgrace" just came to my head. It's like,
I
what
know.
happens in Vegas?
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Because yeah, I remember like I found a note that said like the song was written during Ghost tour with Mastodon and Opeth and in the Grand Sierra Resort Hotel.
Oh,
So it was. So like
nice.
I think he said about like very, you know, like Frank Sinatra type thing, you know. And then he said as well, it's like Papa compared the song like the conversation between the devil and Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, a modern man at the crossroads of his life. And that immediately comes into my mind is that movie Passion of Christ, because I know he likes that. Like he says that has the best version of the devil, which I agree, except for the ending. It's very strange. They have like this very subtle devil. It's a woman, but she has like a man's voice coming out of her, and she's very subtle. She's got a shaved head, no eyebrows. She just has like a black kind of cloak over her. Very subtle. And then for some reason, at the end of the movie, they have her like standing in the middle of the desert, like making demon noises, and she's got like a really weird CG demon mouth, and you're like, what's happening here? I missed this bit in the Bible.
Look,
Just,
everything about that movie was so upsetting. Like,
yeah. And then you get this weird CG devil at the end. You're like, did you have money left in the budget and didn't know what to do with it or something? Like, we've got this like last $1,000 here. What will we do? I know.
I am gonna move on to technically the Popestar EP, but you can count it as the deluxe edition of Meliora. But we got to talk about Square Hammer because right, I want to talk about this as a song, but I am going to bring in some of the facts that again, but we are recording this on the 2nd of June, so by the time this comes out, the movie's going to be out. So the answers may have been answered, but obviously the movie is called Right Here, Right Now, which is a reference to this song, Square Hammer. It's funny that the music. One of the things I wrote down was it's funny that the music video is set in a movie theater, and now we got a movie based on this.
And that's how Copia was introduced, technically, and it was on a movie screen, like with a quick shot. It's full circle. Yeah,
it's a apparently it was an old riff that Tobias had from. I don't think he said whether it was repugnant or something, but apparently it got brought back. We're glad it did. But one of the main things I want to talk about, I actually spoke to Noct, who is Infestissimo on Twitter, because they've been doing like this really cool analysis of Square Hammer, and I've been following them, and I DM'd them earlier just to be like, what are your thoughts? Like, let's is there anything you want to add to this since you've been looking into it? And I know we've talked about this briefly, but I've wrote down, to Freemason or not to Freemason, that is the question. Because the lyrical content is very like almost on the nose with Freemasonry. Like, I mean, the fact that a square hammer is kind of like a gavel type thing that is used in a lot of Masonic temples. The floor on this era's tour was checkered, and I think they continued using it for quite a while, which is seen in a lot of Masonic temples. But Tobias Forge has gone out to say it's not about Freemasonry. And I don't know if I believe him. I know this is where we're going to debate, and this is going to be fun because I know you said you do. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it, if I'm honest.
The reason I believe him is because this man is very honest about where all his inspirations come from. It's like, this riff I took off this song, this riff I took from this song, this one I took from this song. Do you know that sounds like that? Yeah, because I wanted it to sound like that. So if he's saying I know there's a lot of Freemason stuff in it, like this, but I kind of view it in the sense that it ties into the kind of whole theme of the album itself, is the fact that it's supposed to be like a secret society type thing. Like, there's obviously you have From the Pinnacle to the Pit, you have the Eyes Wide Shut music, that starts the tour, again the checkered floor on the tour. I feel like because like Freemasons have a lot of like really cool imagery, but like in general they're kind of just dorks, and so it's not, like it's dorky dudes that are just like, we've got a secret club. Weirdly talked about this on the Subvision episode.
Yeah.
Out of all places. Like, I think he just likes secret clubs, and so like one of the kind of easiest ones probably for him to grab for is Freemasons. But like I know that Noct has also said this, but like I do believe him when he says it's about the goals. Like, I believe it's about the lawsuit, but like pre-lawsuit, obviously, because it wasn't happening at that point.
Yeah, this is what when I DM'd them, they brought up that theory of the lawsuit, but we were kind of laughing about how it's the Apollo's dodgeball thing, that he was kind of writing about it before it happened.
But but if you look, when we'll talk about it on the lawsuit, or if we do an episode on the lawsuit, he was having a hard time during that tour because this song was written during the tour. And he was already they were like ganging up on him and shit to try and get him to like sign shit that he didn't want to sign. He was getting isolated from them and stuff, and like if you look at the lyrics and things where, like imposing on your slumber, but you want entrance to the shrine. Like, you guys are doing jack shit, but you just want into the club. Like,
Yeah.
Mm.
you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
definitely.
You
Like,
call
it's like,
on me to solve a crooked rhyme. Like you're here, you're asking me to solve all the fucking problems, but you're giving nothing back.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think I agree. Like, it's just it was done before the actual paperwork was put in.
Yeah.
But
it was written
it's
by a
the lead-up.
man who, yeah, it's written by a man who's he is reaching the end of his tether with these people. Like, he's tried, and
Yeah.
then because like I wrote down, where is it? It was released on April 2017, and they were gone by 16th of September 2016 was when it came out. They're gone by like April or even sooner than that. You know what I mean? So this is like,
yeah, I think so.
like they're gone by April. Like this, like that's not a long time. So like this is a man who is at that point has went, I have had enough of your shit.
Yeah.
This is him putting his like I feel like this is the first this is him kind of for the first time putting him being like, this is mine.
Yeah, a bit
You
more
know?
biographical.
Yeah, it's a bit more of like, because like we'll talk about like when we get to talk about Faith, like that's him putting his boot down and being like, this is mine. A
Yeah.
prequel and Square Hammer are closer than people I think really realize. It's because they sound so different, I think, and also because obviously two different papas are singing them, or Copia, a cardinal, and then the papa singing them. But if Copia was singing Square Hammer, it would feel just as much, and I feel like it would fit with prequel and the kind of stuff that he's talking about there. Like this is a man that's, like he's tried, because again, like during this era is whenever Martin left as well.
Yeah.
And like Martin was like one of the few people I feel like had actually, if anybody in any of the ghouls had any input into Ghost, it was Martin. Martin came up with the costumes for the ghouls.
Yeah.
He kind of came up with the idea, kind of helped come up with the idea for Year Zero. He's got writing credit on Zenith. Like Martin was like the only person he was letting, I feel like, have a say. And then Martin left, and he's left with these other ones who weren't doing anything, or he wasn't letting them do anything, because they're like, look at it and going, no. I have an idea, it sucks. No.
Yeah, but also, so again, without going too into it, because I'm going to go into it in a lawsuit, like some of these people at the time had only been in the band for like a couple of months or even a year at this point.
Yeah.
And it's like, you want in on all this like credit and shit, but you've not been here since the beginning.
Like, you've not been here since the beginning, and you haven't done, and if you have been here for any length of time, you've not done shit. You've basically been riding on my coattails, and now you're trying to tell me what to do?
Yeah.
Not happening. And also as well, like I feel like that's also the moment where he had clearly he had decided that Copia was coming in as because obviously Copia gets introduced in the video, like technically with the little red cardinal, so he's introducing this like idea of an underdog, so he's viewing himself in the future of this next papa that's coming, this next character that's coming, as an unlikable underdog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Failed.
Like that's how but it just shows you what he was singing at the time, or feeling at the time. Like the next person that's coming, because you can almost view Terzo as like him creating a character that was like, yeah, I am succeeding, I'm doing well, I'm people are liking what I'm making. Like him his ego maybe getting a bit going up, people are saying like Ghost stuff is like the writing in Ghost is phenomenal, one of the most interesting bands that's come out in like the last decade. He's fluffing his feathers, so Terzo was created, and then by the end of that era it'd gone through so much shit with Terzo. Terzo got the chopping block literally, and then he created an unlikable underdog for the next one, because that's what he was viewing himself as, being like, on his own technically, fighting back against these people that are supposed to be in this band with him, and when you read about stuff in the we'll talk about in the lawsuit one, but like some of the things that they were doing backstage and stuff, you can understand why.
It's funny because I've just pulled up the lyrics again right now and just have it right now.
Right here, right now.
To have a look. And yeah, again, it's like where it's got hiding from the light, sacrificing nothing. Literally, it's like, you did jack shit.
Yeah. No one knows who you are. You've done jack shit, and you've sacrificed nothing to get this band here. My name's on everything. If this band fails, I'm the one that's going to take the biggest hit. Like angry man wrote Squarehammer, and I do find it funny that like all these whenever like 2019 was coming to an end, and all these kind of music websites were putting up like their best metal songs the last decade. Squarehammer was like right up there, and it's just like my angry song is like my big fuck you is like one of the best songs of the decade. Take that to the bank.
I did put in, again, this is a very loose concept about how obviously there's the gavel hammers, but it's also the same type of hammer that a judge uses. And I've put, could this also tie in with the corrupt government that has been discussed on Meliora?
Yeah.
Which also, again, seems relevant with everything that's gone on recently with Trump, but yeah.
There's also a thing that I always thought, whenever I heard Squarehammer, I immediately thought there was a legend. It's more of a legend at this point. I don't know if it's ever actually happened. But there's a legend within like the with popes when they died, to kind of make sure they were dead. They used to get this little hammer, and it was like literally square at the end, and they'd hit them on the head 3 times to make sure they were dead.
Oh no, it's 2. I was thinking, into a sacred coffin, but it's 2, not 3.
Yeah.
I was trying to be like, but no.
No, but that's what, like, but when I first heard Squarehammer, that's what I like. My brain didn't immediately go to masonry, because like whenever because like the term the square, like being on the square with someone and being on the level with someone, it's just kind of like, are you being honest and true?
But
like,
isn't that like what the big thing with masonry is like, you must be honest, you must be
but they're just terms in general anyway, are you being on level with me? Are you being level with me right now?
They might come from like masonry, like the actual masonry, not Freemasonry. Like, are you square? Like, are you true? Are you?
Can I hit this now, or do you need me to move it a bit?
Can I trust you? Are you going to be like a good foundation to build with? That kind of.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Was on the square, on the level, like that's. I feel like it's maybe more American English because like.
Yeah, I've never really heard it.
Yeah, because like we will say like, "Hey, is this on the level?" And it is. I mean, maybe it's a little older American English. I think someone was definitely watching their black and white movies.
It's like level with me now. Somebody will say to you, level with. Is this is this what's happening?
Yeah.
So that's why I viewed those lyrics. So like, are you on the square? Are you on the level? Are you ready to swear right here, right now, before the devil? Like, obviously there is the Freemasonry element. I'm not going to sit here and be like, there isn't, because there is. And there's nothing wrong with there being Freemasonry imagery, because like they use them for everything. I'm actually really surprised he's never like dumped into the Illuminati, because it's like that's all there too. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you could do this too. That's funny. Like.
Someone has accused him of that on YouTube, but I won't go into that.
Yeah, they accuse everybody. Anybody famous, Illuminati, and you're like, shut up.
Yeah, anybody who's been famous for 5 seconds, somebody has said, "Oh, they're a member of the Illuminati."
Yeah, or if they put their hand like over their eye, like they all see an eye. It's like, it's on your fucking money.
Right?
But yeah, like I like, obviously the Freemasonry stuff is there as like, I feel like it's like kind of tie it in with the rest of Meliora, again, secret societies, and like, kind of like it's like a ghost sheet thrown over somebody, like, yep, that's Freemasonry, but underneath it's definitely like him saying, you need to be honest with me, you need to like level with me, you need to understand that you understand that this is mine.
Yeah.
Mine. It's my stuff. Snatching his toys back off him. No. but yeah, like, I feel like it's this beginnings of him kind of like really understanding that that he has to take ownership of this being his, like, because it was like kind of like a fake democracy. Like, no, you guys can have a say. Not really, but but then it's just him being like, you know what? No. And also, one thing I always find really interesting about the video is it's Terzo looking at a version of himself as Papa, like in the Papa stuff. handing the power over, and that like scaring him in a way, because like whenever he sees like Terzo like on the on-screen Terzo like letting in who people think is Copia, like they think the guy that's being let into the church, because he says our Father is here and stuff, our eternal Father, take up the hammer, stuff like this here. Because I know, because also like the costume the guy's wearing is very much reminiscent of like the black tight suits that Copia wears and the gloves and all. I don't know if it is or not, but like that's what people say, and I'm kind of like, I'm gonna follow the people this time, but like it kind of looks like it. But the idea of Terzo coming to this realization that, oh God, like someone's gonna come after me. Like it's gonna be literally somebody coming after me, and then the whole Popestar tour was literally him kind of like not pushing the ideal of the clergy, because like Meliora, we never really talked about it. But Meliora is the era where the in our quotes plot of Ghost actually started to kind of become more like solid, like Sister Imperator and all was introduced in this era, and you have them really cool videos of her, like introducing Terzo coming in, and that one of where he puts his hand like on her shoulder with the glove with the like the nails. Love that so much. And then she would like introduce them for some of the live events and things. So like you're getting more characters introduced into this world. The plot's starting to come in. So like and then like obviously whenever Terzo gets like yanked off stage, then Nail isn't introduced for the first time. I can't imagine what that show would have been like. I don't like. Could you imagine the fucking mayhem?
I'd have been
what
sick.
the fuck's just happened? I do definitely feel like that moment has kind of tainted what's going to happen with Copia, because people think that's going to happen. Like people thought, like we talked about that, but people thought that was going to happen with Copia. He was going to get dragged off stage or shot on stage or something, like to take him out like old Yeller on stage. But
piano dropped on his head.
Just somebody coming out with like a really like exaggeratedly rubber hammer hitting him with it, or like a hook coming from side stage and yanking him off.
Those like Acme like big weights.
Yeah. It'd be so funny if that happened in the movie. Because they have the animated stuff in it. Could you imagine? Like a Roger Rabbit moment.
The scary thing is like when this is out, we'll know.
I know, and I'm going to listen back to this being like, ah!
You did not know.
You didn't know. You were a sweet, innocent child. You didn't know. But yeah, like Square Hammer is really interested in the fact that like they never really released original songs with the EPs that came alongside the album. So it's like he really was making sure that his point was getting across with Square Hammer. He was like, no, this is coming out now. I need to release this right now. right here, right now. The video is great. Like when we talk about the video is great. Very Metropolis thing. The green is great. I'm really sad that because I know it kind of color codes the eras. Because Primo was blue, kind of like a kind of minty blue. Secondo was green. Terzo was purple. Cardinal Copia is red, and then Papa 4 is like a royal blue. But I'm really sad because the green works so well with Terzo as well, because that kind of again absence and then the green and and you're like, oh, but he was like, God damn it, that's
I already used it.
I already used green. I gotta use purple now. But again, purple works really well too, because of like the royal purple. Again turned himself into a king. Just so many things. This man is so smart.
There's so many layers. It's like a lasagna.
It's like an onion. He's like an ogre.
Right, for the remaining covers, I'm just going to group them all in one. So we've got Nocturnal Me by Echo and the Bunnymen. We've got I Believe by I forgot to write them down.
By somebody.
I believe.
What a great band name. Oh fuck, I forgot to write that down.
It's one that I don't really care for. Oh, okay. So we've got I Believe by Simian Mobile Disco, Mystery Man by Eurythmics, and Bible by Impirit. All I'm gonna say is I can't believe he got the idea to do I Believe from fucking FIFA, and B, I will defend Bible with my life.
Same.
That's
I'll
all I'm
fight people on Bible.
Mic drop. Yeah.
Will not fight anybody on I believe. They say they don't like it, I'm gonna be like, yeah.
Yeah. Even he was like, "Oh, what if we did? I'm glad that it was Mary on the cross and not like fucking I believe or something."
Yeah, I'm like, say even he knows. I will say Nocturnal Me is one of my favorites because if you listen to the original, like, I love doing this with people. I love making them listen to the original and then listening to the cover. I love Echo and the Bunnymen.
Yeah, same.
Ghost version is superior because
I would have liked
like
them to have done Killing Moon though, but hey.
I think that'd be a bit too obvious. You know,
Yeah,
he doesn't
that's the
really
thing.
outside of we don't need another hero. He kind of grabs like covers that you're not expecting.
Yeah.
But like if you listen to the original of Nocturnal Me, I always felt like it's very fast. You know, like in Ice by Fire, in Learning Woods. Like you don't need to run. We're calm down. So like he took it from a major key to a minor key and slowed it right down. And it becomes so like sexy. Like it's such a sexy cover, you know.
Yeah,
Like we
it
saying
is.
take me
Eternally.
internally.
Take me
It's so
internally.
it turns
Yes.
it's become so sexy and like it's like so like the guitar in it and everything, it just sounds so chunky and so, you know, it's my favorite. Like, that's probably my favorite cover, I will say, because it's just so good and it's just such simple changes that he did. Because like the original is so good anyway, but all he did was just like knock it down to a minor, like minor key, slow it down a little bit, you know, turn it like really sexy, you know, like the innuendo, like let the innuendo kind of linger a little bit more, you know, like, you know, take me internally thing and all. You're like, well, okay. You're asking so nicely.
Actually, I know. I very famously said pass to Turzo on the Smash or Pass episode and almost got disowned. But
Yeah.
Nocturnal Me's got me thinking, maybe.
Enough
I
drinks?
can you can think that.
You're a
Enough
changed
drinks,
woman.
Turzo? I could throw a leg over. Yeah, like, I also fucking love Missionary Man. I will fight people on Missionary Man because if I was ever being a stripper, that would be my stripper song.
I'm staying silent.
No, I swear to God. I remember I seen a video on TikTok. Every time I listen to this, again, when I listen to music, I get images in my head that stick. And one of the things with Missionary Man was I only became a fan of Ghost in like 2022. Call Me Little Sunshine was my first song I ever heard from them. But I saw on TikTok somebody was going to the Re-Impera tour, and it was at the same time as Taylor Swift. And they were like, I have to make a choice. And it's like they're showing like the underground in New York and stuff. And they're like, I was born an original sinner was playing. And then whenever the beat dropped, it cut to her walking down the street in slow motion wearing a nun outfit. And I was like, that's so cool.
That is sick.
So every now and again, I just go rewatch that video. And I'm like, I fucking love that video. I was like, and also as well, it's one of the few covers where you can really still hear the rhythmics.
Yeah,
you know?
can actually.
Like, you can hear Annie Lennox, because he doesn't really change much from it, really. Like, it's one of the few covers that he does, whereas all this really changes is him singing it, but he's singing it like Annie Lennox, you know?
He
Because
gets,
it's just...
is there a female, if I'm remembering, because this is how bad I am, I don't listen to it very often. There's a really cool female vocalist on there as well, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's still there. Yeah, that's still the same from the original as well. Like,
oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, because I think it sounds more or less the same. I don't know if it's obviously the same from, he probably re-recorded it or whatever, or maybe, I don't know. But yeah, if I was ever a stripper, that would be my stripper song, because it's just, I don't know why, I just love it. Just like, it's such a good, I love the original anyway, but like, his verse is something so funky about it, and I just like, yeah, like, I believe it's like such an outlier on it, because it doesn't really go anywhere.
No, it's...
I don't even remember the lyrics.
I believe you could be...
I feel like that about Missionary Man, and I have to say that the more that I've listened to it, the more it has grown on me. I have never hit skip on it because, like, I want to listen, like, I want to give it a chance. But the first time I heard it, it was so completely tonally different from all the rest of everything that came out for Meliora. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? There's a monkey in a tree. Okay, all right.
Yeah, of course there is.
Like,
Woohoo!
I was so confused. Like, we went from like sexy humanism, like, yeah, mankind and Satan, and yeah, to all right, it's cartoon time. Dee, 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 dee. And I had whiplash. Like,
He
I
does
was like,
that.
what? So, like, I'm not a super big fan just because it's like it is very whiplash inducing.
Yeah.
Oh, wait till you
Um,
see the movie. Just saying.
mm,
Well, you have by
it
now,
has
but
grown on me. It has
It's
grown on me. I will say.
I love like I know I know a lot of people feel like I feel like I'm but that's a hot take to be like I think Missionary Man is great because everybody's like I think it sucks ass. And I'm like, well, that's good for you. I, on the other hand, would take my clothes off to it for money. You know,
Well, I think
like
one of the first times I ever like talked to Yomp like in depth was like telling her about how confused I am about Missionary Man, and like I'm glad that you like it, but I can't because of XYZ. And she was like, wow, you sure have opinions.
oh, I love her. Well, speaking of high, like strong opinions, given that people have a lot of opinions, I've got to talk about my favorite, which is Bible. And I don't know what it is. I think it's just one of his. Okay. I am gonna say this now, and this is a take. I think this is one of his best vocal performances of the whole career.
Yep. I agree.
Mic drop.
With that.
Yeah.
It is.
I
It's
think it really
really.
shows off his range.
Yeah.
Because
Don't
it
get
does
me.
have like those very low lows, and then it has like a very high, not high highs, but like high for a male vocalist.
Yeah. It's just
Um,
how he repeats the first verse, but in the higher octave later. That just like
mhm.
I'm slamming my fists on the table.
I will say I'm not a huge fan of like the ending makes me laugh just because the voice just takes me out. You know, the deep voice. I'm gonna drown everybody because fuck them. Basically, it says in the Bible. But like
Yeah.
but every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, okay, here's this bit. You know, like
I pitch shifted that once just to see like if it's a very British sounding guy, so I'm wondering if it's like Tom Datey or someone like that.
I don't know who it is, but it just cracks me up because like like I mean it works with the song, but it's to me every time I hear it, I'm just like, all right, there it is. Hello, hello, God.
I'm really sad they've only played this live once as well, and poor
and
dude was like ill or something, and he didn't do it as probably as good as he could have.
yeah, he's tried twice now to get choir to work on stage, and both times something's happened. This is the universe
Yeah.
saying, stop trying to make choirs work on stage, and he's like, no, to work. I think he had kids on stage at one time for a choir. I can't remember. I think
That
it was for
was
Monsters
Monstrous
Clock.
Clock at
Yeah,
I want to say it was Hellfest.
Yeah,
yeah.
Hellfest.
Which is like he just keeps trying to get that fucking. I would a Ghost S&M style album with a orchestra and choir would probably be one of the best things ever produced.
Please.
Could you imagine?
For real. I'm gonna quickly move us along just onto this last one because we're getting quite a lot of time here.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about Zenith? Do we have notes for Zenith? I don't really have notes for this one.
It's again it kind of it's again it works well with this album. I'm surprised it was left off, and it was left just for the record, like the deluxe edition. I know it got recently added to Spotify. Thank you, Satan. But it works really well with Meliora because like the Zenith, the idea of like you've reached the end goal of these things. Like again, it's the whole idea of Meliora was a society that thought we've reached the pinnacle. And it's like, no, you haven't. Like every generation, except I feel like this generation is like we've reached the pinnacle of mankind. This generation's like we have not. We are
We
still
suck.
cavemen. Like we are still cavemen, except this time instead of rocks and stones, we've got fucking bombs and fucking phosphorus to drop on our fucking enemies. Like we like again, Zenith was written partly by Martin as well.
Mm.
I love his vocals on Zenith as well.
Oh yeah, vocals
Like
are amazing.
and the piano and stuff's really great, you know. And then there's that really iconic video on YouTube, like the only kind of YouTube video where it's the guy, somebody's recorded it while we're playing the vinyl. I always think about that when, again, images in your head when you listen to the song. I just see the green vinyl spinning, you know.
I always see the cover, which has Papa 2 on it. In
Yeah,
like
it
the
was
Rosemary's Baby. Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
interesting that it's Papa again, like we were saying, it's Papa 2, but it's on the Meliora Redux.
Yeah, it seems to have taken a long time for him to settle on a Terzo face, because like even when Terzo first came out, he had the wrong face on.
Yeah. Albeit, I
like
don't
the
think that was
paint
his
was
fault.
different. No, I don't think it was his fault. But I'm saying the paint was different, you know.
Yeah.
And then even Terzo's paint changed. Like it was at the beginning, it was very ashy. You know, like it was a lot more ashy looking. But then, like by the time it got,
paint.
yeah, but by the time it got to the end of the era, it was very solid. Like his paint is the most like almost Minecrafty looking. You know, like the white face, the solid black nose, the black you know, like it's the most kind of like one you could put on merchandise. You know, like it's the one that could be like easily transferred. You know,
It's very like this is skeleton.
yeah. I always feel like I always kind of in my head always thought it was like it's because Terzo doesn't want to hide his face too much, you know, because he's again vain and very egotistical. He thinks he's beautiful, you know, so like he doesn't want to hide too much of himself behind all the paint, like you know, like the other papas did, you know. So he wants his face to kind of be out there a bit more. I will say I was watching a lot of like Meliora videos, and I used to like kind of not like his face paint because it was so simple. But the more I looked at it, I was like, it's very iconic now. You know, like it looks so. It's such an eye grab. But it's you know, like Meliora is just like overall like all the kind of imagery that came out of Meliora was just so. Just so good. Like you could just see it. This is a guy. It's like I'm starting to fully know what I want from this band. You know.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting the money to project it out.
Yeah, I've just had to because I didn't prepare for this song. It was only while we were doing this I was like, oh fuck, we forgot about Zenith. But I've just found a couple of interesting interpretations of it where obviously like Zenith can mean sort of like you know the pinnacle and like the highest point type thing. And someone here has wrote, it's humanity coming to the conclusion that they don't need God and they can come find the truth with science. And then they've quoted the line, "We conquered the magic, we carried the stars, deciphered the clockwork, enacted this farce." Which again, someone pointed out, which I don't know if we've actually touched upon. Like we've discussed on like how Meliora is about like, you know, a lot of things, but about the questioning of like, is God a good thing, and whether like, you know, religion is needed and stuff is also like a heavy theme. But yeah, and someone's like it given that Zenith means peak, pinnacle, top, maybe it has some ties with from the pinnacle to the pit, and it's a continuation of that, which is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because like the thing is like the scariest thing to the church is people not needing the church.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, so the church needs to keep creating things. Like again, like it's from like I recently watched the First Omen, and that's what they're saying. Like the reason the church is involved with the creation of the Antichrist is because they need people scared to come back to church.
Yeah.
You know, you create the evil, you create fear, and then they will come flocking back to church because you know. Because we are reaching a point in society now where being a very overt kind of religious person is kind of makes people uncomfortable almost. You know, whenever you hear people talking about, you know, like I found Jesus and, you know, he is my rock and my savior, like, okay, that's nice.
Especially, I think, especially in Europe, maybe less so in America, because I find, just from an outsider's point of view, being religious is a lot more normalized in America. But like over here, I find if you know someone who's religious, you're like, the first question is, why? Like what? Like it is the not norm to be unless it's like an Arabic religion, I'd say. But in terms of like Christianity, I find Christianity is one that everyone's just like, huh? In this economy, in this day and age. Right, so Alana, where can we find you?
You can find me on HXC Ferry, on Twitter, and TikTok and Tumblr. Yeah.
Yeah. Cammy?
I met your fave guestie on pretty much every social media platform.
Katie?
I am at C2May on Twitter. I have other things, but you're not turtly enough for the Turtle Club.
I like turtles.
Turtle. Was that a Master of Disguise reference?
It was.
That film. Oh my god. Anyway, I'm Alva. You know where I am. Boy.
Bye.
I love
Bye.
it.